Hey, it's Nikas. I was watching a video of my teacher, this guy, Adi Shanti, and a story came to mind about human nature and how we're all just human. We're all doing our best. Um, I used to be a very successful hairdresser in San Francisco, made ridiculous amounts of money. We'll just say that ridiculous amounts of money. My theory was, hell, I'll just charge them so much they think it's good, and they did. But I was walking home from work one day, and I was going to the BART, and there was a guy who had a laptop box all taped up really well, and he just told me, he says, "Hey, I got this laptop for sale. It goes for $1,100, but dude, I'll give it to you for $100. Just don't ask me where I got it, because I won't even get into that. But I'll give it to you for $100. I just need the $100." And I thought, well, sure, why not? I had $100 on me, so I gave him the $100 and got the laptop box home, and it's taped together really well. Opened it up. There was more something in there that looked like a computer. I opened that up, and it was just filled with phone books, and there was no computer. There was no nothing. I had been scammed, and I wasn't mad because I had a ridiculous amount of money that I in my but I was disappointed. That somebody would try to get over on you, like knowingly try to screw somebody else over, and that upset me. Forgot all about the event. Fast forward now, 2 years later. I'm walking home from my house. I'm cabbing home from my house. And the address that I gave the cab driver, mind you, I was well into my disease of drugs and alcohol at this point. I gave the address of that was 2 blocks away for some reason to the cab driver. So he dropped me off, and I didn't have the wherewithal to, try to get him to go somewhere else. So I just got all my stuff out, and I had a bag full of computers and video cameras and all sorts of goodies, things that somebody would want. And it was a relatively dark street because I lived down on Harrison Street, which is south of Markets. Not really the snazziest of neighborhoods. It's not the Pacific Heights of San Francisco. But I had a live-work loft space, beautiful, 2-bedroom, 2-bath loft, skylights. I could put my music on 10 at any time of the day because I had an auto garage downstairs, and they just didn't care what I did up there. So I was in heaven, and it was really inexpensive. So anyway, I continued to live there for 7 years. I was coming home one night, like I said, got dropped off 2 blocks away, got all my stuff out, and started walking. And I started feeling really lightheaded. And I passed out. I just fainted right there on the street. And this man comes over to me, and he's like, dude, are you okay? And I said, I think I'm just really lightheaded. He's like, okay, just take a second. And he says, you want to try this again? I said, yeah. So I got up, put my shoulder bag on, and then tried again, and didn't make it 5 feet and passed out again. And he was like, oh man, this is not good. You can't just be passed out here in this part of town. It's not happening. He says, let's just try to get you. So he put, my arm over his shoulder, and he literally tried to kind of like do it that way. And I just kept falling. And finally he says, all right, dude, I'm going to throw you over my shoulder. He said, where do you live? And I told him, I said, just up on the next block, there's a red door. And he said, all right. So he puts me over his shoulder and he walks me that uh, block and a half at this point. And at one point, there was cops giving some people a hard time, and he's like, "I got to put you down for a second." So he puts me down because he says, "Because the guy was black." He says, "It's not going to look good if a black guy is doing what I'm doing." So gave the cops a moment to pay their attention elsewhere. He got me back up, threw me over his shoulder, and he got me to my house and got me inside. And I had a roommate at the time, Jeff, God rest his soul. He was one of my sweetest friends. He was also on this path of enlightenment with me, and also had sobriety issues. We were good friends. And he gets me upstairs and explains to Jeff what happened, and Jeff said, "Okay, I got this. I got this." And he says, "What can I give you?" The guys, "No, nothing. I don't want anything from you." And he just said, "Just take care of him. I mean, maybe he needs to go to the hospital. I don't know what." He says, "Just take care of him." And he left. And he came back about a week later to check on me. And when he came up, something about the cadence in his voice. He says, I says, "I've seen you around town before." And something about just the way he talked, I said, I've seen you too. I know you. I says, "Do you ever sell computers down by the Powell Street BART station?" And he goes, "Yep, that's me." I said, "Yeah, I bought a computer from you one time." He says, "I'm sorry, man." And I said, "No, don't worry." I said, "What you've done for me tonight, far outweighs that a million times over." And we just talked, and I got to learn about his situation and where he's at in his journey of sobriety as well. And we maintained a friendship while I lived there in San Francisco. He didn't own a phone, so there was no way to continue getting a hold of him. But we maintained a friendship where he'd come by every couple months, and sometimes sober, sometimes not. But he knew that he always had a friend, and it was one of those situations where I just realized that we're all human beings. Sometimes we do things that we're not proud of. Sometimes that we wish we wouldn't have. But we did. We did. And that's who we are. That is the potential of who we are. But as this man so eloquently described, we also have the potential to be angels. Every single one of us, no matter what we've done, no matter who we've harmed, no matter what, we have the potential to be an angel in someone's life, to save somebody's life, to help, to be of service, to give gifts. So I don't know, somehow I just wanted to kind of just talk about that because, I have a good friend that's going through his 4th step inventory recently, and he's looking at all the stuff in his past that he's done, as we all do when we go through that inventory. We get to have an honest look. Wow, this is the truth of who I've been. And it's very, 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 very important to see the truth of who I've been, right? So that when moving forward, knowing what we have the potential to be, moving forward, we can let that go and use our intuitive guidance to propel us forward with the thing that we are guided to do next. I was going to say could, should, and none of that crap. The thing that we're guided, the thing that we're internally guided. Well, what is our true north telling us to do? There is no right, there is no wrong, there is no should, there is no shouldn't. There's just what your true north tells you is the thing to do right now. Either you do it or you don't. And many a times I didn't. And many a times bad things happened. And many a times I did. And life just seems to flow when you do that. It just seems to flow. So for me, I don't measure my sobriety in days. I measure my sobriety in truthful, right action where I follow my intuition. That to me is what a true and deep sobriety means for me. The promises that are available in the book. There's 149, 50, depending upon the source you consult, promises in the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous. Less than 15 of those are promises about the cessation of drinking or of using drugs and alcohol. Less than 15. So that means there's 135 promises about how life will change. Life will change. Your reactions in life will change. In fact, in the back of the book, in the spiritual experience appendix, one of the most beautiful, beautiful, glorious definitions of spiritual awakening is, I'm paraphrasing, I'm so sorry. Sometimes friends of the newcomer notice the change before he has himself. However, at some point, he comes to realize that he has had a profound alteration in his reactions to life. Let me repeat that because I was crying, sorry. A profound alteration in his reactions to life, right? So life doesn't change. What changes is how we react to it. It is constant. It is life. It is life on life's terms. It is inevitable. Period. End of story. How I respond to life is what either brings me joy or it brings me suffering. Depending upon where my headspace is, depending upon what I think, depending upon the way I'm misperceiving reality. Reality is reality, right? If I misperceive reality by thinking it should be different than the way that it is, guess who's being the fool here? Me. Because, God's great universe, everything that unfolds happens through divine will. I'm writing a book right now called There's No Accidents, There's No Mistakes, Only Blessings. No accidents in life. No mistakes in life. Only blessings. Because the universe, God, Great Spirit, whatever the heck you want to call it, is lining up your life in such a way that you have the maximum opportunity of spiritual growth at all times. The question is, do you take that opportunity and use it for benefit, for growth? Or do you take that opportunity and use it for self-pity? I know that for myself, many, 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 many years, it was all about why me? Why is life out to get me? But what has shifted in my life is I no longer see that life's out to get me. It's it's out to do the best it possibly can for me. Sometimes it doesn't look the way I would prefer it to. And sometimes it does. So I don't have any idea what happened to that man. One might say he saved my life. He was my angel. He was my teacher. He showed me how to open my heart in a way I didn't know I could open my heart. You know, he showed me what it meant to be forgiving. And you know, chances are, if you can be forgiving with others, you can be forgiving with yourself. If you haven't noticed, I'm a crybaby. It's just who I am. It's what I am. That's just how spirit moves through this guy named Nikas. So I hope you're all having an absolutely perfect universal day.